Baltimore Orioles.
And this baby's gone!
On Passan.
Better than that.
And streaming live on the Passan app. It all starts right now.
Day baseball in Toronto, the final game that the Orioles are going to play during the regular season here at Rogers Center, and it's another beautiful day with the roof open. Orioles fans making their way out as the Orioles again try and take a series in this ballpark after the Orioles claimed the season series 2 days ago. And we welcome you into the broadcast booth. Jeff Arnold with you. We're going to hear from Big Ben McDonald in just a moment. One of the things about this Orioles team is the year has gone along. The starting pitching has only gotten better. Some pitchers were making adjustments at the very beginning of the season, and then you got to the month of July and suddenly everybody hit an extra gear, and the Orioles are looking to keep that going as you go down the stretch and you try and take as much stress off the bullpen as you possibly can. You especially look at what you're getting in terms of innings from your starters. Almost 6 innings to start, 3.63 ERA in the month of July. You played 2 games in the month of August. Grayson Rodriguez was good last night. Kyle Bradish, 7 innings of 1-run baseball the previous start against the Toronto Blue Jays. And then, sometimes when you have a really good starting pitching staff and it's a younger group, sometimes it takes a little while to get into your groove, but the Orioles starters look like they have.
Yeah, man, you go back and look what they did in the month of July. Remember, all the series in the month of July were against teams above 500. The Orioles responded going 17-9 in the month of July, arguably their very best month of the year because of the competition. And it was because the starting pitchers took a giant step forward. The offense wasn't as good in the month of July as it has been earlier, but the pitching made up for it, and that's why the Orioles had such a really good month.
Yeah, and the other thing is when you examine the Orioles' success in the American League East, what does it usually come down to? How well do you start? And the numbers for the Orioles have been pretty impressive in that respect. Against the Blue Jays, 259 earned run average. Orioles have lost only 2 games to Toronto all year. Really good against the Rays. The Yankees, 4.2 ERA. The Red Sox, a lot of those problems had to do with that first series of the year, and you just haven't played that many games against Boston. And we have seen firsthand how good the Orioles starters have been in this series against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kyle Gibson got it started in the 4-game series over in Tampa. He was really, really good. Well, he got it started again in this 4-game series as well. He ends up going 6+ innings, 4 hits, only allowed the 1 run, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So make it 3 quality starts in a row for Kyle Gibson. And then it was Kyle Bradish's turn. I tell you what, he told us, he said, look, after I gave up 3 runs on a couple homers, he went to work, and boy, did he go to work, retiring 14 of the final 15 he faced. And then it was the kid, Grayson Rodriguez, man, he was really good again. How about Grayson Rodriguez? Since being recalled, 3.6 ERA in his 4 starts, and he was really good. And what a neat outing it was for him last night. He didn't strike out anybody the first 9 batters he faced, but then he would strike out 5 the next 8. He kind of felt his way through it, really got it going. Unfortunately, the 6th inning kind of fell apart for the Orioles, but I love where the starters are right now. Grayson Rodriguez has given you that boost like an ace would give a team right now. He's looked really good. Kyle Gibson is finding his form again, and boy, Bradish, for me, he's been good all year long, and so has Dean Kramer.
When you talk about boost, and that's what the Orioles are hoping to get from Jack Flaherty, who today makes his Orioles debut, and he comes to the Orioles after a great month of July with St. Louis.
I mean, by far has been his best month, and you see him at a 3.03 ERA. The start wasn't great on the year for Flaherty, but I tell you what, he's made up for it as of late. You're going to see a good fastball, 94. Probably his best out pitch is that knuckle curve that he has. It's got a big swing and miss on it, but look, he's been around. 7th year in the big leagues. He was in the big leagues at 21 years old. He's pitched in some big moments. He's pitched in front of big crowds in St. Louis. This is nothing new, and you can see he's a very emotional guy as you see him walking in from the dugout right now. So I think the first inning for him is going to be the most important. Can he calm his emotions a little bit? Can he navigate through that first inning? If he does throw up a 0, he could be off and sailing for a while.
And the Orioles would certainly like that. Final game of 4, Orioles and the Blue Jays. First pitch next.
Back on the horse, Lord knows I fell a time or 2 this dusty road. Every time you knock down, get up. Every time you knock down, get up. Back on the horse, this Texas sky gonna do it up tough and make me new. Saddle up, saddle up. Man, you better saddle up.
Toronto, Adley Rutschman is top the leadoff spot, and he's going to be working with Jack Flaherty. Adam Frazier, good numbers in his career against Kevin Gossman. He is in there after the last two starters for the Blue Jays have both been lefties. Today's Toronto starter, a right-hander, guy that the Orioles are very familiar with. He's one of the best in the AL, Kevin Gausman.
Yeah, the Blue Jays will run out there the best they have and one of the best in the game. Kevin Gausman making his 22nd start of the year. The ERA 3.10, that's 8th best in baseball. The strikeouts, 171 of them. He can do that. Second best mark in baseball, only behind Spencer Strider with the Braves, who is up over 200 now. And Gausman has been really good his last few times out. If you look at the quality starts, there's as many as anybody in the league right now. And I tell you what, his last time out against the Orioles, although they've had some success on him, he was really good. 8 innings of work. He only allowed 2 runs and punched out 4. What was a season low in strikeouts, though? Well, this is StatCast powered by Google Cloud. Four-seam fastball 51% of the time, and that fastball will average about 95. But the pitch for him is that splitter. It's one of the best in baseball. Opponent's batting average is only .201 on that splitter, and it's got a 44% swing and miss.
Pitcher who has definitely changed what he's done since he has left the Orioles. We'll get into his story a little bit. Bounced around, eventually found his footing with the Giants, led him to Toronto, where he has become the ace of their pitching staff. And if they were to play a playoff game in the postseason, game 1, Kevin Gausman would be out there. So we're ready to go on this very sunny Thursday afternoon. Adley Rutschman looks at strike 1, and we're underway. Again, the roof is open at Rogers Center. Adley's got back-to-back multi-hit games. And he's going to be behind the plate, working with Jack Flaherty, who will be making his Orioles debut after the Orioles got him about 10 minutes before the trade deadline expired. 2 strikes against Rutschman. He's also reached base safely in 17 of the last 18 games that he has played. Orioles don't need to worry about taking the season series. They accomplished that on Tuesday night. And then last night was a game where Grayson Rodriguez pitched very well for the Orioles. It was a tie game, and the 6th inning came along, and Toronto scored 3 times. Bunch of walks, 2 hit by pitches and error, and the Blue Jays took the lead without the benefit of a hit. Tough luck for Grayson Rodriguez, who had another strong start inside the division. Rutschman is down on swinging, and it's the split from Gausman that gets him.
Yeah, when he gets that one going, it's just tough, and he's had it going a lot this year. That's the reason he's got so many strikeouts. You can see the grip right there. So he likes to get ahead with the fastball, and that's really the one you want to attack if you're the Orioles. You want to get to the fastball if you can. That's the most hittable pitch of the ones he's going to throw, because when he gets you in the hole with 2 strikes and he's locating that splitter, it is awfully difficult.
Gunnar Henderson chops the first one to second. Whit Merrifield is there, and he flips to first for out number 2.
Well, here's the Blue Jays defense behind 32-year-old Kevin Gausman. Varsho in left, Kiermaier in center, George Springer in right. Your double play combination, DeYoung and Whit Merrifield. Matt Chapman, the Gold Glover, over at third. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first, and Alejandro Kirk behind home plate for the Blue Jays.
Gausman, former number 4 overall pick out of Louisiana State University.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Louisiana State University.
It's just LSU, Jeff.
Now, he's from Colorado, and he actually grew up idolizing Roy Halladay, another guy from Colorado. Halladay in the Hall of Fame, and of course had an incredible career with the Toronto Blue Jays. And so Gausman, he wears number 34, which Halladay wore as a member of the Phillies. Number 32, which Halladay wore when he was with Toronto, is actually retired here. 3 balls and no strikes. Santander walked a lot in the month of July.
And Kevin Gausman doesn't walk many guys. Came in with just 32 walks and 127 2/3.
There's Roy Halladay. Said the number retired by the Blue Jays.
How about that? 3-0 green light.
Santander, 9 games against Toronto this year. 940 OPS, 515 slugging, couple of home runs, and the biggest one was 2 nights ago, the grand slam which put it away for the Orioles. There's the split, and it's a full count. Three balls and 2 strikes. First inning of what is the last game the Orioles will play in the regular season against the Blue Jays. Of course, we aren't sure how things are going to stack up come playoff time. John Schneider, first full season as the Blue Jays manager. And Santander goes down swinging. Kevin Gausman, a 1-2-3 top of the first. Jack Flaherty takes the mound for the O's. Have a hot dog if you're going to come out to a baseball game.
Didn't they have like 60,000 of those not too long ago?
They did a couple of nights ago. Here's the Blue Jays lineup. Brandon Belt hitting out of the 2 spot with Bo Bichette now on the injured list. Alejandro Kirk does the catching today after Jansen caught the last 2. And Paul DeYoung, former teammate of Jack Flaherty, going to be starting against his former teammate. And for the Orioles, they get their first look at Flaherty pitching inside the AL East. And his first pitch in an Orioles uniform way inside for ball 1.
There's Flaherty's numbers on the year with the Cardinals. It'll be his 21st start. 4.43 ERA, but he's been way better than that as of late. July's been his best month. 54 walks now. That is a little bit of a concern, but a lot of those walks came early in the year. As a matter of fact, he pitched against the Blue Jays earlier this year. It was his first start of the year when he was with the Cardinals. 5 innings. Crazy line. 5 innings, no hits, no runs, but walked 7 and struck out 4 and got the win.
It was not an April Fool's joke. And it's hit the other way by Merrifield. Who can do that? And Toronto, who's got the leadoff man on base with Merrifield, give way now to Brandon Belt. Jack Flaherty, 6.29 ERA in early May, and here's a look at the rest of his arsenal.
Yeah, 4-seam fastball about 40% of the time. Then the slider, knuckle curve, which is probably his best out pitch. You see the swing and miss it right at 42%. He's got 25% of his strikeouts on a pitch, that knuckle curve that he uses 19% of the time. But it's heavy fastball, slider, knuckle curve, and that changeup occasionally.
Brandon Belt's going to come up to the plate. And he'll take high from Flaherty for ball 1. Yeah, early part of May, first 7 starts, 6.29 ERA. In the 13 outings since, he's pitched to an ERA of about 3.5. You talked about his great July. And when Flaherty met with the media yesterday, he talked about the difference since that tough start. And what he said was he wasn't doing the simple things right. And it all started with his fastball command. And then that led to the walks, and that led to the high earned run average. One ball and 2 strikes against Brandon Belt.
That's a cutter. We'll get a look at all of his pitches for the first time. So that's the first cutter I've seen. And they say Flaherty's a really good athlete, like really feels his position well, can really help turn double plays, really good on bunts. And he's a big guy too, 6'4", 230 pounds. Still just 27 years old, even though it's his 7th year in the big leagues. Broke in when he was 21.
Close play, not in time, but Merrifield just back in there.
Well, Merrifield's got 21 stolen bases, and that's the second disengagement. And boy, this one was really close. Merrifield barely back in. Now we'll see how aggressive Merrifield's going to be over at first base. Something the Jays don't do a lot of. They're 18th in baseball. Matter of fact, the Orioles, oddly enough, have the same amount of home runs as the Jays and the same amount of stolen bases as the Jays.
2 balls and 2 strikes. And Toronto, they need some of their big boppers to start hitting another gear. That includes Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is on deck at Chapman. Alejandro Kirk. A down year offensively for Toronto after the last few years. They've been one of baseball's toughest offenses. Full count now against Brandon Belt. And Toronto, they're trying for back-to-back wins against teams from the AL East. Mel was talking about this in O's Extra for the first time since they faced the Rays all the way back in April.
Yeah, that was their first 2 games against AL East opponents.
Merrifield bluffs, and this is down and in for ball 4. First 2 have reached against Flaherty.
Well, here's the Oriole defense behind Jack Flaherty. It's the number 4 defense in baseball according to fielding percentage. Hayes, McKenna, and O'Hearn in the outfield. Gunnar Henderson and Frazier, your double play combination. The Gold Glover Ramon Urias over at third. Mountcastle at first. And Adley Rutschman back behind home plate for the Orioles.
Here's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. against the California native. Guerrero, he has gone just 2 for 18 over Toronto's homestand. Out to center field. McKenna, he is there, makes the catch. Merrifield tags, heads to third. They won't throw it in there. And they'll be at the corners with 1 out for George Springer.
Yeah, that's the first barrel ball of this series for Guerrero. Straightaway center field, but it does push Merrifield to third. So a first and third, 1 out situation. Now Flaherty will throw a 2-seam fastball. He can throw a sinker. He doesn't use it that often. Only about 2% of the time. He likes that 4-seamer 40% of the time.
George Springer last night snapped an 0 for 35 skid at the plate. And he'll look at strike 1 according to our home plate umpire Jim Wolf.
So his fastball, slider, cutter, and a curveball so far. No changeups yet.
1 ball and 1 strike. Flaherty, he got into town yesterday. And so yesterday it kind of became a little bit of a deep dive for James McCann and Adley Rutschman to figure out exactly how to work with Flaherty. But it's a lot of give and take, right, Ben, at the very beginning of it, and figuring out what he wants to do as a veteran starter and then trying to adapt to him.
No doubt. Because you want him to pitch his game right now. The Orioles have just not had enough time with him yet to kind of break down what he does and what they think is going to play the best. And we mentioned this in the pregame show. I mean, Adley went out early. Flaherty was out 45 minutes before game time. Adley went down and caught every pitch that he threw in that bullpen just to kind of get an idea of the stuff and how it moves.
2-2.
Flaherty's best year came back in 2019 when he was an all-star. 196 innings pitched. He punched out 231 that year. 11 wins with a 2.7 ERA.
2-2 to Springer, and he strikes him out. So first strikeout for Flaherty in an Orioles uniform comes from George Springer. And 2 outs now with men still at the corners.
And he got it in a huge moment, too. 1 out runner at third base and just bends a really nice breaking ball. And there's not a whole lot of right to left in this slider, is it? It's almost straight down vertical. So it's not the sweeping slider that a lot of people are throwing today. It's more of the traditional slider.
2 outs. Chapman up at the plate. Blue Jays are just 4 for their last 50 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, Chapman now has reached base in 19 straight games. On base percentage 407 in those 19 games.
Currently ranks as the 2nd longest active streak in the big leagues. Only Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners has reached in more 27 straight games for Seattle's All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
0-2.
Good fastball, too. 96 miles an hour, so a little bit amped up. Typically, that fastball is going to average 93, 94, but a little bit of extra for Matt Chapman. Boy, this would be huge. This would be a huge moment to work out of this jam.
Off the outside corner, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Flaherty had a chance to talk to Kyle Gibson, Orioles veteran, about this team, and Gibson got good reports from Adam Wainwright. about what Flaherty brings to a team, his competitiveness, his want to, his will to win. Runner goes from first, strike three called. And the inning is over as Jack Flaherty.
Only need 3 outs, not 4,
only
boys.
3. Hey, there you go. Back-to-back strikeouts for Flaherty. Keeps Till on base in a clean first inning with his new team. Maryland Lottery's Fast Play Home Run richest contestant of the game, Wanda San Pedro from Baltimore, has won $500 for being selected and will win $500 more for every Orioles home run hit today. Learn how to be the Fast Play contestant of the game and have one more chance to win $50,000 at mdlottery.com/home run. Good luck, Wanda. Orioles beginning the second inning against the Blue Jays. 0-0 our score. Jack Flaherty a single and a walk in the first, but then gets a line out and back-to-back strikeouts of Springer and Chapman. Ryan O'Hearn takes strike 1. He followed by Mountcastle and then Frazier in this inning.
Yeah, and if Kevin Gausman gets that pitch, it's going to be difficult for the Orioles because he likes to throw low fastballs because then that splitter comes out in the same window. He likes to keep it low in the bottom of the zone and have it fall out. So he's made a conscious effort this year to pitch down a little bit more in the strike zone with his fastball, only to set up that split finger fastball. He will take it to the top occasionally. There's that splitter, and that's the one the Orioles are going to have to attack. Every now and then Kevin Gausman will make a mistake and leave a ball, that splitter just kind of hanging right in the heart of the zone, and that's the one they're going to have to hit today because when he throws the good one, difficult.
1-2 against O'Hearn. He is starting today in right field. Mountcastle playing at first base. And he was back starting. Blue Jays had Yusei Kikuchi last night and then Hyunjin Ryu back-to-back lefties in the 2 games before. O'Hearn fights this one off. Center Ryan Mountcastle. Ryan O'Hearn was the Orioles' best hitter in July. Hit .324, 3 homers, 15 driven in.
Yeah, 2 of those homers came on left-handed pitchers too.
2 good left-handed pitchers. Colin Poche and his friend Matt Strom from the Royals. That's where they played together. And there is Mountcastle, who can't wait to bat against the Blue Jays with the series that he's had.
Good at bat going on here by O'Hearn. And the Orioles have been really good this year at pushing pitch counts up for starters early in ball games. They really couldn't get to Kikuchi yesterday. He was really, really good.
That's low. Full count now against O'Hearn. Kevin Gausman, 6 of the last 7 outings that he's made have been quality starts. When he goes out there, he usually gives you 6 innings. He threw 8 innings his first time against the Orioles.
Boy, does he ever trust that pitch, huh? He'll throw it 3-1, 3-2. Yeah, 3 earned runs or less in 17 of his 21 starts this year.
It's tapped up the line, hits off the bag. Nice hands there by Guerrero. The hands of a waiter to make that little pickup.
Yeah, Blue Jays catch a little bit of a break here. That ball hit the bag and it could have went anywhere, but fortunately for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to the bag and just right up over the top of it.
That's coordination. Well, in that first at bat for Kevin Gausman, he throws about as many pitches as he threw in the whole first inning, as he misses in the dirt to Ryan Mountcastle. Mountcastle reached base 4 times in the game yesterday, 3rd time this year that he has done that, and he's been on base in 10 out of his 13 trips up in the series.
Yeah, how about this? Last 3 games. You want to talk about hot? How about 3 multi-hit games in a row for Ryan Mountcastle? First time this season he has done that, and he is using right there the center part of the field a lot.
Two balls and a strike. Mountcastle takes in from Gausman. Tied him up with the split. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, Kevin Gausman, when he was with the Orioles the first time, and then, you know, he had kind of a tumultuous 18-month stretch. He got traded from the Orioles to the Braves. He was waived. He ended up going to Cincinnati. He was non-tendered with the Reds. He goes to San Francisco from there. And with the Giants, that's kind of when he figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, they really tweaked the splitter and wanted him to actually throw it a lot more, and that's kind of what he has done. I mean, his time with the Orioles, 6 years he spent with the Orioles, 39 wins, 51 losses with the Orioles with an ERA of 4.2. Very average to below average with Atlanta and Cincinnati. But then, as you mentioned, when he went to San Francisco, he figured something out in those 2 years. That earned him a 5-year contract here with the Blue Jays.
That's a fair ball. Shot down the line by Mountcastle. Springer has issues playing it. Mountcastle hits the brakes and heads back to first base. Now, it looked like it was going to be a clean carom for George Springer when he bobbled it. Mountcastle had a notion of going to second, but probably made the smart move to hold on.
Yeah, and another bullet the other way for Ryan Mountcastle. I mean, watch this approach. Protecting against that splitter, a little bit late on the fastball, but keeps it fair right down the first base line. And it caroms off the wall. Springer right there, a little bit of trouble barehanded it. Boy, Mountie with a big turn thought about it, but makes his way back to first. So a 1-out single for Mountcastle.
You get Adam Frazier to the plate. In his career, Kevin Gausman has been a reverse splits pitcher, so he does better against lefties, but it's not this lefty. Adam Frazier, it's .385 against Gausman in his career.
A lot of plate appearances, 40 plate appearances against Kevin Gausman, so Frazier has seen him a lot. Now, this year's a little bit different year than Kevin Gausman's career. This year, he is getting right-handers out better than left-handers, but for his career, he gets left-handers out better.
1-2.
And that's what's a little bit different about Kevin Gausman this year. Last year, he gave up more hits than innings pitched. Opponents hit 272 off of Kevin Gausman last year. Only 232 so far this year, so 40 points less on the opponent's batting average.
Quick throw to first base to check on Mountcastle. Frazier floats it into center. That'll drop in there. Mountcastle headed to third. The throw is off balance from Kiermaier. Mountcastle gets in there, so making another hit for Adam Frazier against Gausman. And now the Orioles have runners at the corners.
Boy, and what a read by Ryan Mountcastle, too. Only 1 out. Ball's in the air, but he had a perfect read, realizing Kiermaier was playing back, and this ball was going to fall in, and Mountie is off and moving from first base. Watch him. You see him, he picks the ball up the center fielder. No doubt he's going to take an extra 90 right there. So a first and third and 1-out situation for the Orioles here in the top of the second.
And Mountcastle kind of rubbed up his knee there as he was sliding into third base.
Strawberry. You won't find one position player right now that knees just aren't all skin up. I mean, it's that time of the year. I saw Gunnar Henderson not too long ago in the clubhouse, and he must have had 27 Band-Aids on both knees. I was like, dude, you just need to wear knee pads.
And probably adding to it is that the Orioles have been playing a lot of games on turf recently. You're here in Toronto, you played for. You were just in Tampa Bay for a long series.
Frazier's got 7 stolen bases, and he's getting a little bit antsy over at first base. And if you watch Gausman, Gausman's got a pretty high leg kick. Like it's an open stance when he comes set in his stretch position, but it's a pretty high leg kick.
Does have a good pickoff move. We've seen it so far. But Kirk and Danny Jansen, the other Blue Jays catchers, are both guys you can run against.
Plus, he's going to throw a lot of those splitters in the dirt. That's how he accumulates so many strikeouts. So that's always a good pitch to run on anything in the dirt.
Austin Hayes' base hit yesterday ended in 0 for 19. He's one of a number of Orioles who's trying to get things back on track. It was just the one run yesterday after they scored 13 the day before, most since the break. Again, Hayes just ticks a splitter.
Yeah, the middle infielders for the Jays playing back right now. They're playing back to turn a double play. Orioles scored first in game 1 of this series and in game 2 as the Blue Jays scored first last night in game 3.
Hayes fouls this one away. Ball and 2 strikes. Opponents hit only 111 against Kevin Gausman when hitters get to 2 strikes against him. That's the best mark in the American League. That pitch is called low.
Yeah, that's a really good take too by Hayes.
If you're a home plate umpire, you got to account for the fact that Alejandro Kirk's a little bit of a smaller target behind home. Frazier goes this time, and it's fouled away again. Now the Orioles, they've made Gausman throw almost 30 pitches in this second inning. Hayes along at bat after the inning started off with a long at bat by Ryan O'Hearn. Grinding out long at bats. That's part of the Orioles DNA. They do not make it easy on starting pitchers. 2-2. Hayes is running full.
About 4 consecutive splitters to start it off. 4-seam fastball, back to a couple splitters. And if Kevin Gausman holds to form, it's splitter coming again. And I bet Frazier will be off and moving.
He is, and the splitter's hit on the ground. It's past the dive of Chapman and in the left. Here comes Ryan Mountcastle to score. Austin Hayes rewarded for the long at bat. He drives in the Orioles' first run.
Well, what an at bat by O'Hearn. Mountcastle with a single. Frazier behind him. Another outstanding at bat by Austin Hayes. RBI single. Off a 3-2 splitter too, and he just kind of bounced in the hole. Chapman at third doing all he can do, but he can't keep it in the infield. The Orioles score first.
9-pitch at bat for Austin Hayes. Leads to a base hit, so he's had a 9-pitch at bat. Ryan O'Hearn ended up seeing 10 pitches when he was up there, and now it's going to bring up Ramon Urias. 4 homers, .252 batting average for Ramon. He was one of the Orioles' best with runners in scoring position. Orioles the 3rd best team in baseball with men in scoring position at .280.
They've been solid in this series too. That's 10 base hits now at runners in scoring position for the Orioles in these 4 games.
Two-0 the count against Urias, who throughout the year has had his moments where he comes up with the big hit. Ball 3.
Well, the Orioles are doing exactly what they need to do and pushing that pitch count up. Now Gausman, after a quick first, 43 pitches so far total.
This is the inside corner for ball 4, and now the bases are loaded. Ryan McKenna is coming up to the plate, and Pete Walker is headed out to the mound. Chat things over with Gausman and give him a breather.
See his usage today. Fastball is averaging 95, but the command of it not great so far. 54% fastballs. A little bit more than what he typically does, but he loves that splitter, going in a little bit more than what he typically does. And a big moment for the Orioles here to put a crooked number on the scoreboard.
The Orioles have gotten to Gausman before at Rogers Center. Last June, Orioles were here and they jumped on Gausman right away. He made only 2 1/3 innings that day, gave up 7 runs, 5 earned. And the Orioles in that game were taking some of the at-bats in the second inning like they are right now. Loaded up for McKenna. And Gausman misses with his first pitch.
Well, this is when you're Ryan McKenna. You can just kind of sit on whatever pitch you want to sit on, whether it's a fastball or the splitter. Try to see it in the spot on the plate that you can barrel it up. Gausman just sticking with that splitter, isn't he?
He's living or dying with that pitch, which he throws for chase, he throws for swing and miss, and he also throws just to get the pitch in the strike zone, which, like you said, is very unusual. One and 2. McKenna, he has some at-bats against Kevin Gausman. That's part of the reason why he is starting today. The other reason is they're trying to get Colton Cowser a couple of work days so that he can get some additional batting practice, that he can relax a little bit. So they're trying to just give him a couple of days to try and get him going.
Plus defensively, you know, for me, McKenna may be a little bit better than Colton Cowser in the outfield, playing center field. I think he's a little bit better defensively.
Before Cowser arrived, when Cedric Mullins wasn't playing center field, before Aaron Hicks arrived, it was Ryan McKenna who would get the starts over there. A lot of times against left-handed pitching when Mullins would get a day. Swing and a miss. A splitter gets McKenna. It's the second out of the inning after the Orioles had 4 straight reach against Gausman.
Man, it is hard to do, but the approach almost has to be like Ryan Mountcastle's approach, right? Try to get the fastball and try to hit it the other way where you've got some bat left for that all-speed pitch.
That'll get us back to the top of the order, and Adley Rutschman. A heavy dose of splitters from Gausman his first time. There's another one. It misses in the dirt.
Boy, 39 pitches for Gausman here in the second.
Last time Gausman didn't make it through 5 innings was June 11th. 1 ball and 1 strike. The at-bats have been good, and you do have a run, but you really want to get more against Kevin Gausman. This is the chance for the Orioles against Gausman, who doesn't get put in these positions a lot.
Yeah, and the Orioles have been pretty good lately at coming up with big base hits. Runners in scoring position on the year now. Orioles' 3rd best mark in baseball.
Rutschman a big hack, but he misses, and it's 1 and 2. Bases loaded, 2 outs. 1-2. Rutschman hits it the other way. That's a base hit. Frazier comes in. Hayes coming around to score. The throw home. He is out. But Rutschman is able to at least get in another run as Adley goes to the opposite field, and the Orioles work over Kevin Gausman in the second inning. And then the Orioles just challenged blocking of the plate by Alejandro Kirk, and there he is fielding the throw a little ways up the line.
And the rule, the way I understand it, if the ball takes you to the path of the runner, that is okay. But you could clearly see now Alejandro Kirk was just set up well before the ball got there, directly in the line. So this is a difficult call here, because clearly Austin Hayes is going to be out by 20 feet. Because Varsho would have out, but look, he's set up there already. And just nowhere for Hayes to go.
And like you said, it's one thing if you receive the throw and the throw takes you that way. It's another thing if you just plant yourself up the line and then catch the ball, and Austin Hayes has no lane whatsoever.
After review, the call in the field is confirmed. There was no blocking in the plate. Baltimore loses their challenge.
All right, well, the call's going to stand. Orioles get a run, though, after 2 runs, I should say, and lead it 2-0. Strikeouts over 6.5 plus 105, under 6.5 minus 140. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and customers can bet $5. You get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Use promo code DIAMOND when you sign up.
Well, Flash has got 2 of them. He needed them too. First and third, 1-out situation. Punches out Springer and Chapman to get off the field.
Now he'll face Alejandro Kirk. Start the bottom of the second. In the second inning, the Orioles, they made Kevin Gausman throw 42 pitches. Orioles ended up driving in 2 runs. And you can credit long at bats by Ryan O'Hearn, who sees 10 pitches. Austin Hayes, who sees 9, for driving that pitch count up. Orioles thought they might get another run on a blocking of the plate by Alejandro Kirk, but after the Orioles challenge, the call was confirmed. Brandon Hyde did go out between innings to maybe get a further explanation from Jim Wolf.
Well, Varsho, the left fielder for Toronto, made an outstanding throw to end the inning.
Ball and 2 strikes against the 5'8" Alejandro Kirk, who's from Tijuana, Mexico. He's been hitting the ball well in his last 9. But Flaherty strikes him out. You can make that 3 straight strikeouts for Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, that's the cutter. So a slider before that, and this one just a little bit of right to left in it, but placed perfectly right on the outside part of the plate.
Here comes Dalton Varsho. First year with Toronto after he was with Arizona prior. Ball and no strikes. Dalton Varsho is actually named after the late Darren Dalton. Do you remember Darren Dalton?
Dutch, yep.
That's back to the mound. Flaherty fields it. And there's 2 quick outs for Jack Flaherty. Hey, Burley, watch the O's take on Pete Alonso and the New York Mets from August 4th through August 6th. Don't miss the action at Camden Yards. Great seats are available at Orioles.com/tickets. And be sure to get yours for tomorrow. 40th anniversary celebration of that 1983 World Series. Team ought to be a great night on Saturday, so make sure you're coming out as the Orioles take on the Mets. 1 ball, no strikes. A former Cardinal against another former Cardinal. Paul DeYoung and Jack Flaherty were teammates as of just a few days ago. And yesterday, Paul DeYoung debuted for the Blue Jays on his birthday. He celebrated his 30th birthday in a brand new uniform. And today he faces a former teammate.
Yeah, he got some pop in his bat, but really known for his defense. Boy, he has been outstanding on defense this year, too. Fielding at .990 at the shortstop position this year. His best year for DeYoung was back in 2019. Hit 30 homers that year. Drove in 78. Career .233 hitter. 8 years in the big leagues.
He is going to man the shortstop spot with Bo Bichette going on the injury list with right patellar tendinitis, which for Toronto is the best case scenario, and their hope is that Bichette is going to be able to come back and help the team down the stretch. But until he returns, it'll be Paul DeYoung seeing most of the time at short. And he goes fishing. Jack Flaherty, 1-2-3, second inning with a couple more strikeouts.
Wow, do it, Flash. And he's got that breaking ball going right now. Hard right to left. Picks up his 4th punch out. Orioles up 2-0.
There's been all sorts of cool stuff. I've hung out with a lot of mascots this year. This might be the weeniest of all of the ballpark attractions, though. Jeff and I got on the Schneider's Hot Dog Seesaw earlier today. I can assure you it's more of a photo op than something to enjoy. But you know, Ben, you've talked about it all week. So I couldn't not get you a poutine hot dog.
Oh, my goodness. What do
You didn't know what it was, and now you get to eat a hot dog with poutine on it.
I mean, what is this?
It's potatoes, cheese curds, and gravy.
Who puts potatoes and cheese curds on a hot dog?
Canada.
It's a Canadian
Jim
delicacy.
Palmer is like, he is rolling
You
right
can
now.
actually get really good poutine in Baltimore, in Fells Point.
And by the way, unlike Jim, we were
I'll take
expecting
your
you
word for it.
We're expecting you to eat this entire thing, not just have like
Might
a
be a lot of
sliver
things
it.
happen today, Jeff, but that's not going to be one of them.
Clean plate club, Ben. You can do it.
Well, we've got 7 innings left. Chow down.
I might take a bite. But if it's bad as that cheesesteak you served me with that cheese whiz on it, I don't know if I want any of it.
We only had cheese whiz in one of the places we went.
And it was one too many.
Man. There's nothing wrong with cheese whiz. There's also nothing wrong with putting poutine on a hot dog.
Look, I eat a lot of stuff where I'm from.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Well, I didn't eat the chicken feet, but it was in the chicken stew that one time. That's the closest to the weirdest thing I ever ate. Margaret. Yeah, my mother-in-law is like, she don't waste any parts of the chicken. Let me just say it like that.
So you've never actually eaten the chicken feet?
No. Who would want to eat a chicken foot?
You've eaten alligator, right?
Yeah, but that's different.
What does alligator taste like?
Tastes like chicken.
Okay.
No, it is. It's a real white meat, and it's very similar. Best fried, cut in little chunks. Soaked in a little bit of a milk and egg batter, and then floured up really good and flash fried. Outstanding.
Okay.
Now, what sounds better, that or this poutine thing?
I think I'm actually going to go with this poutine hot dog. So if you don't eat
way.
yours, maybe I'll have a little bit.
I got all you want right here.
Up the middle comes DeYoung, and he'll get the out on Gunnar Henderson. Well, we've got Friday fireworks coming up at Camden Yards on August 4th. Experience the excitement as the Orioles face off against the Mets, followed by a spectacular postgame fireworks show. Secure your tickets now at Orioles.com/tickets.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. One out for Santander, who gets out of the way of that pitch. 1-0. And that is taken for a strike. And today, Anthony Santander named as the winner for the Orioles of the Heart and Hustle Award. He's a great candidate for that. Brandon Hyde was talking about Santander before the game. Guy who goes about his business the right way. True professional. Plays the game with excitement and joy. Does so much work in the cage. So much work that you never see. And so he's deserving of that honor. The Heart and Hustle Award, which is one of those awards that everybody wants to win across baseball because it just goes to the character that you exhibit.
Well deserved, too. Just a leader in the clubhouse. And that's a good point about the work these players put in. Not just the Orioles, all players. I mean, you see them take batting practice, but it begins hours before that.
Hits that one deep right field. Springer is back, jumping up, and he has got it.
Anthony Santander, that's what you call just missing one. And Santander was one of the guys we've seen over the years that will sit on a certain pitch. When he gets it, he can really get it. This ball pushes Springer all the way back to the wall. A little bit of a leap.
Two outs now for Ryan O'Hearn. He'll take a called strike. Oh, and 2. The one who got it started against Kevin Gausman, even though he grounded out, was Ryan O'Hearn. He grinded him down and kind of set the tone for the last inning where the Orioles got the 2 runs.
Yes. And I love Ryan O'Hearn. You see that first pitch, it wasn't a strike. It was called a strike, but he didn't molly grub. Didn't have anything to say to the umpire. He gets right back in the box.
One ball and 2 strikes. Take by O'Hearn, 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, he hits with some power, but you really think of Ryan O'Hearn as a professional hitter who just knows what to do, has a 2-strike approach. And he goes down on strikes. Kevin Gausman pulls the string on the split, and for Gausman, his second 1-2-3 inning. But the Orioles a 2-0 lead. Final game in Toronto.
Happened in the bottom of the first inning. First and third and only 1 out. And flash, Jack Flaherty goes to work. He punches out Springer on a slider down and away, and then just dots an eye with a fastball right at the bottom of the zone. And Chapman is caught looking, so Flaherty works out of a first and third, only 1 out situation with a couple strikeouts.
He's got 4 already in the game. He misses low to Kevin Kiermaier to begin the bottom of the third. Saw this from Alex Fast on Twitter. Jack Flaherty hit 97 miles an hour in the first inning, probably where he had the adrenaline going a little more. And that was actually the hardest 4-seam fastball that Flaherty has thrown all year.
You know, the velo used to be a little bit more, you know, back in 2019, and he's kind of settled in right around that 94 mark, but he can reach back and give you a little extra from time to time. But that's been the pitch for me so far today, is that cut fastball. And I'm just looking at the numbers on the year. He's only thrown it his first 20 starts about 10% of the time, but it feels like today it's been a lot more than that to this point. And I'm wondering if that's something the analytical department got, and Flaherty, you know, got with him in a short amount of time and said, listen, the analytics on your cutter is really, really good. Maybe you need to start using it a little bit more. That'd be an interesting question to ask him after the game.
Comes from a good organization in the Cardinals. Cardinals this year assembled a team they thought could win the NL Central, but things just didn't pan out. They got off to a bad start and just haven't been able to dig out of the hole, and so they ended up being sellers at the trade deadline. The Orioles ended up bringing Flaherty on board as they're trying to look after the innings limits for some of their young starters. So another strikeout for Jack Flaherty. He gets Kevin Kiermaier this time.
And I think all the strikeouts except one has been on the breaking ball. And another really, really good breaking ball by Flaherty. Just kind of a backdoor pitch. Just kind of keeps it around the outside part of the plate. Yeah, I think one of the things that attracted Mike Elias to Jack Flaherty was the fact that he's, you know, he pitches in front of big environments. It seems like there's always a sellout in St. Louis. And, of course, his postseason experience. 4 postseason starts under his belt.
No balls and 2 strikes against Whit Merrifield. Flaherty met with the media yesterday. He says, you know what a good team looks like, and he could tell that immediately from the times he's been able to watch Orioles games. And today, Andy Koska, Baltimore Banner, had a really good piece which talked about a text message that Flaherty sent to his former high school coach, which said, I can't wait to win. He's going to have a chance to do that with the Orioles.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we'll all get to know Flaherty as time goes by, but that's what you hear about him. Uber competitive, right? Loves to win. Been with a winning organization his whole career. And it's just going to take, you know, baseball players are creatures of habit. We like to get into routines. We like to, that's what makes us comfortable, right, when we go out there. And it's not a comfort factor when you switch teams. He arrived yesterday here, and all of a sudden he's on the mound 24 hours later. Actually less than that. But so far, it's been really, really good.
Off the hands. Now, Flaherty is a number of pitchers who were traded at the deadline that are making debuts today. Flaherty debuting with the Orioles. Michael Lorenzen, who went from Detroit to Philadelphia, he is making his debut today with the Phillies. And then Max Scherzer, who went from the Mets to the Rangers, is making his debut. Right field. And O'Hearn makes the catch for out number 2. Scherzer actually already made his debut as Moe's Unlimited Ballpark Pass is back and on sale now. Get unlimited access to August games for just $60. Passes include a general admission standing ticket with access to the flag court and roof deck. Purchase today at Orioles.com/unlimited. That one's fouled away by Brandon Belt. Belt is one of 2 that has reached against Flaherty. He's now set down the last 7 in a row. Popped up right near second base. Frazier guarding his eyes from the sun. He's going to make the catch with Henderson right nearby. Jack Flaherty, 3 innings, no runs allowed. Against the Toronto Blue Jays this year, it has been the same old story. 8 hits, 10 at-bats in this series, an OPS of 2,000 while in his career at Rogers Center. 9 home runs, 26 driven in. Using the opposite field a lot in this series, and you know, when you face the Toronto Blue Jays and you're Ryan Mountcastle, you feel good and you're hoping that this stretch is only going to continue back to Camden Yards.
We've always said, don't let Mountie get hot. And guess what? He's hot, and he's showing it. 8 for 10 in this series. And when he gets hot, he covers just about every pitch there is to cover. See, Gosman, 11 in the first, 43 pitches in the second inning, 17 in the third.
Now, I'm not sure if there's really a theory why Ryan Mountcastle is so good here. I mean, remember that 3 home run game that he had 2 years ago in his rookie season, came against Alek Manoah and the Toronto Blue Jays. But he loves, for whatever reason, facing Toronto and hitting at this ballpark. Do you think maybe some of it also has to do with the big batter's eye that's out in center field?
It's hard to say. I mean, everybody has their favorite places to hit. Every pitcher has their favorite places to pitch. I think it's just a comfort zone. It doesn't matter who's on the mound, because it's not like he does it against bad pitching staffs. I mean, if you look at this pitching staff for Toronto, number 5 ERA, 3.8, 5th best ERA in baseball. Like, they can really pitch.
And pitchers that all do distinctively different things. From Kikuchi last night, who kind of changed his pitch arsenal up, to Hyunjin Ryu, who's kind of a touch and field type pitcher. Chris Bassett throws all the pitches, and then you really got Kevin Gosman, who's got power and throws 2. Now Castle has worked it full. Here's Adam Frazier standing on deck. He loves hitting against Kevin Gosman. .76 pitches in 3+ innings against Gosman. The Orioles will certainly take that. Hit on the ground, and it sneaks through the right side. Another opposite field hit for Mountcastle in this series.
Make it 9 for 11 this series for Ryan Mountcastle. Are you kidding me? And the approach is perfect. The timing is perfect. He's trying to shoot the fastball the other way like he does here. Actually, that's a splitter, and he shoots it. It's inside. That ball's inside. He just kind of lets those hands get in there and pulls them in tight, just shoves this ball the other way.
You hate that he's leading off the inning, though, because you want him up with men on base. He has more RBIs against the Blue Jays than any other team in his career. Frazier ahead of the count, 1-0. Adam Frazier remembers playing in front of the raucous crowd during the playoffs last year when he was part of the Seattle Mariners and they faced Toronto. And while he was here, Mariners had this incredible game. They were trailing 8-1, and then they battled all the way back. We were asking Frazier about it earlier on in the year. He says, I don't know how we did it, but they just kept putting good at-bats together, and eventually they chipped into that big deficit. Hits this one out to right. George Springer is there, and he makes the catch. I'll bring up Austin Hayes, who drove in one of the 2 Orioles runs in the second inning after he saw 9 pitches against Kevin Gausman. Snapped a long, dry spell at the plate last night. His big contribution in the series was the diving catch that he made in the 9th inning on Monday night that helped the Orioles secure a win against Toronto, which, are we saying that's play of the year?
Man, there's so many. Frazier's play, Urias' play.
That is through the left side for a base hit. I mean, if Hayes doesn't make that play, then that game is probably tied up.
There's been 4 or 5 just unbelievable game-changing plays the Orioles have made on defense.
And then you have the jaw-dropping catch that Cedric Mullins had out in center field of Byron Buxton right before the All-Star break in Minnesota. A chance for Urias. 2 on base with 1 out. Ball and 1 strike. Osmond throws in the split, 1-1. It's the inside corner, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Urias 344 with runners in scoring position this year. Best marks on the Orioles.
Yeah. That fell off a little bit last year, but the year before, remember 2021, he was really good, one of the best for the Orioles with runners in scoring position.
That's way inside. Orioles have a lot of guys that hit well in that department. Low 300s, 290s. Kind of stuff that you need to do well, especially if you're going to play as many close games as the Orioles do.
Well, and you look at the overall improvement. We talk about seeing more pitches per plate appearance this year, more patient, more walks. But the big number for me, and a lot of people don't talk about it, how do you hit with runners in scoring position? You know, and that's where the Orioles have taken the biggest leap this year. You know, they were 25th in baseball last year. They're 3rd right now. And for me, that's been the biggest number and reason why the offense is up this year.
Both runners go, and the pitch is inside for ball 4. So Urias walks, and again the Orioles load the bases against Gausman. Pete Walker back to the mound as the Orioles loaded them up in the 2nd inning, managed to get 2, and are looking to build on this lead.
Yeah, and the Orioles have a real chance here of pushing Gausman out of the game here in the 4th inning. I got to think the Blue Jays are about to get some action in that bullpen. Already at 88 pitches and another grand opportunity. Only 1 out, bases loaded.
And 2 different 6-inning starts from Blue Jays pitchers in this series. The shortest outing of the year for Gausman came at Boston when he gave up 8 runs and made it just 3 1/3. That was back on May the 4th. Now, we mentioned last year in June when the Orioles found a way to get to Gausman at Rogers Center. And now Toronto will get some activity. That's Yenesis Cabrera. Bases loaded for Ryan McKenna, who struck out his first time. There he is with runners in scoring position. The home run. Oh, 0-2.
Same situation as last time. McKenna was up, bases loaded, 1 out. Kevin Gausman just feeding him a steady diet of that split finger fastball, just like he did the first time.
2 singles and a walk have loaded up the bases against Gausman. 90 pitches deep now. And down he goes. Similar strategy as the last time. Gausman with a second out of the inning via strikeout.
3 consecutive splitters. And a really good one right here. Starts it right about, I would say about mid the strike zone, but a lot of downward action.
Two outs, still loaded for Rutschman, who did drive in a run in the second inning. He hits it to the right side, and Gausman, despite loading up the bases, gets out of it. Orioles not able to score. Gausman's pitch count elevated, and the Orioles a 2-0 lead. Been getting a lot of swing and miss.
Yeah, and it's been on his breaking balls, his off-speed pitches. Look at the slider. 3 swings and misses on the slider, 2 on the knuckle curve, 2 on the cutter, 1 on the fastball. And that's through the first 2 innings. He is retired, what now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. 5 of the 8 by strikeout. And all 5 of his strikeouts have been on the off-speed pitches except 1. 1 fastball to Chapman.
It's Guerrero who's going to lead off this bottom of the 4th inning against Jack Flaherty. Well rested coming into the start. He hasn't thrown since last Wednesday when he faced the Diamondbacks. Guerrero lined out his first time up. First inning, the Blue Jays got the first 2 on base against Flaherty. They then got the line out, back-to-back strikeouts. And as Ben said, it's been a clean sheet ever since. Nicely placed. It's 0-2 against Guerrero.
Yeah, he looks super confident right now. Got him set up for that slider down and away. Boy, if he can start it where he starts those last 2 fastballs.
And after it goes Guerrero. He was spinning around like a top, making 6 strikeouts for Flaherty.
10 in a row. Boy, this is just pitching right here. 2 fastballs just down on the outside part. What do you do after that? Out of the same window, you bring the breaking ball. Looks like a strike out of the hand, and he just works it down and away. And no chance at all for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
We have seen him chase that pitch a number of times in this series. Now here's George Springer. Goes after a similar pitch and falls behind 0-1. Springer having the worst season of his major league career. OPS is down, average is down, power numbers down. Now he's just an incredible athlete. This year, he's 33 years old. He'll turn 34 in September. He's not been what he's been in the past for the Blue Jays. Center field, but right at McKenna. He's got it for out number 2. The 4th inning is brought to you by your Baltimore area Toyota dealers. For legendary safety and reliability, choose Toyota, and let's go places. Jeff Arnold, Big Ben McDonald, and Melanie Newman with you. A nice day in Toronto, a little bit more humid than we've had the past few days. The Orioles are headed back home after this, play the Mets and then the Astros. So if you were in the neighborhood, come on out. Music at the ballpark this weekend. You've got the celebration of the 1983 World Series team. Jim Palmer's going to be there. Eddie Murray, Cal, left field. Hayes moving in. He's got the sunglasses on, and Jack Flaherty give him another clean inning. So Flaherty 3 straight 1-2-3 innings, and the Orioles up 2. The Orioles getting ready to take on the Mets. And tomorrow night, David Peterson starts for New York. Dean Kramer will be on the mound against the Mets. 10 wins, the most in the American League. Cal Gibson, Kyle Bradish are going to start the other 2 games, but the Mets starting rotation is going to look a little bit different. You know, a week ago we were wondering, well, maybe we're going to see Max Scherzer, maybe we're going to see Justin Verlander, but both are now gone.
Yeah, it has been a fire sale.
Strike 1 into Gunnar Henderson. A lot of pitchers on the move at the deadline. Not as many position players, something that we noticed. The Orioles, they added Shintaro Fujinami, Jack Flaherty, who's starting for the Orioles today, and man, has he been good so far. 12 in a row set down. Just 1 hit allowed through his first 4 innings in an O's uniform. Flipped out to left, and it'll get in there for a base hit. Gunnar Henderson with his first hit of the afternoon. That'll bring up Anthony Santander. With Orioles online auction, you can score exclusive Orioles items like an Adley Rutschman game used jersey and base from Jordan Westburg's MLB debut. All items are available now, but don't wait. Bidding for these items closes on Sunday, August 6th at 10 p.m. Net proceeds benefit the Orioles Charitable Foundation. Bid now at Orioles.com/auction. Here's Jack Flaherty watching from the bench as his team tries to get him a little bit more run support. Santander will take strike 1. Even count 1-1 against Santander. Here's Bowden Francis. They're throwing for Toronto. We saw Cabrera up in the last inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, you see Gausman approaching 100. This will definitely be his last inning, I would imagine. The Orioles would love to knock him out before this inning ends, though.
John Schneider, Pete Walker. Just a longer starts by Kevin Gausman, but not going to be one of those today as Henderson gets back in there. A lot of Orioles foul balls in this game. About a fifth of the pitches that Gausman has thrown have been fouled off. So a lot of that in the second inning where Gausman threw over 40 pitches. And he gets Santander.
And that's what Gausman can do to you. Sometimes you start looking for that splitter because he throws it so much, but it's a big difference in speed, and he can still take an above average fastball and ride it to the top of the zone for a strikeout, his 6th of the day.
Brings Ryan O'Hearn up to the plate. He has gone 0 for 2 in the game. Guy who time and time again has gotten big hits for the Orioles this year. Gamer getting consistent playing time. That was part of his problem in Kansas City. He didn't play much. He was used in really tough spots, a lot of times off the bench as a pinch hitter.
I just love his story this year, you know, and you couldn't light up spring training more than Ryan O'Hearn lit it up. And he hit 350 in spring training, hit 3 homers, looked really good playing the outfield and first base, but didn't make the club. And he was sent down, and he just absolutely tore it up and continued to hit, just waiting his turn in AAA. When he got his opportunity, he's been hard to keep out of the lineup.
And he said, I'm not going back, and I don't see him going back anytime soon. Fouls this one off at home plate. Grew up in Florida. Dad is from Milwaukee, and then his dad Tom and his brothers. He had a huge family contingent when the Orioles were in Milwaukee. His dad and his brothers, they actually served beer at Brewers games when it was the old county stadium.
Oh, I remember that ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
Good pitcher's park. Was no fun in the month of April to pitch there, though. None.
There are not a lot of places that time of year in that part of the country that are fun to pitch in April.
You can see Gunnar Henderson. He's thinking about it. He's trying to time up Kevin Gausman. Now, what I noticed a couple of pitches ago, Gausman did a slide step one time. Every now and then he'll just kind of show that. Typically it's a big high leg kick, and that's when you can really steal a base on it. But every now and then he'll show you that slide step just to keep you honest.
That is hit hard and into right field. Springer will go retrieve it. Henderson headed to third base, and he's going to make it there. So Ryan O'Hearn in a 2-strike count comes through against Gausman. Orioles first and third, 1 out for Mountcastle.
And Ryan O'Hearn just continues to hit and continues to give you professional at bats too. Just sitting on that splitter, and this one stays up just enough where he gets a barrel on it. Of course, Vladimir Guerrero holding Henderson on. There's a big hole over there. Henderson easily goes first to third, and that might be the end of the line for Kevin Gausman.
Well, Kevin Gausman, he's not able to complete 5 innings, his shortest start since June 11th. Blue Jays go to the pen.
4 to third, 8 hits, 2 runs. Both were earned. He walked 2. He punched out 6, 103 pitches, and boy, that 43 pitch second inning is kind of what did him in. The Orioles with another good opportunity here, first and third, and 1 out in time for Bowden Francis now. Francis making his 8th appearance of the year. A solid ERA. 14 punch outs, 4 walks. Opponents hitting .207 off the right-hander Francis. Now 27 years old. 7th round pick by the Brewers back in 2017. 3-pitch mix for him. Good fastball, average about 95, but he does his work with his 2 breaking balls. The curveball and the slider are by far his best 2 pitches.
Pride of Chipola Junior College from Tallahassee. He'll face the red-hot Mountcastle and miss in the dirt.
Yeah, the Orioles missed a really good opportunity in the 4th inning. Bases loaded, only 1 out, could not push a run across. You don't get many of these opportunities.
Two balls and no strikes. Bowden Francis back with Toronto. He was here earlier this week. Trevor Richards of the Blue Jays went on the injured list today. Mountcastle to right field, hit well. Springer still going back. He's got it on the warning track, but plenty deep enough for Henderson to tag. So give Mountcastle another RBI against the Blue Jays, and the O's lead at 3-0.
Boy, Mountie just keeps getting it done, folks. Love this approach. Powers it again the opposite way, right up against the wall. Sac fly, RBI, and a 3-0 lead for the Orioles. Well done.
Another one of those team at bats, which we have seen the Orioles take all season long. Extend the lead for Flaherty, who's in a nice groove. Now here's Adam Frazier out to the gap in right center field. That'll get down there. O'Hearn headed to third base. The throw back into second. They get the 2nd hit of the game for Adam Frazier. Runners at the corners yet again for the Orioles in this one.
Boy, that offense was stale for the Orioles last night, but not today. Adam Frazier, I mean, that's the pitch to me that just impresses him. He can get to the fastball on the inside part of the plate as well as anybody.
So now here comes Hayes. A 2-for-2 day after a bunch of struggles at the start of this series. Orioles All-Stars this year facing Valdon Francis, who the Blue Jays got in July of 2021 in a deal for Trevor Richards and Rowdy Tellez. 0-2. Evan Gosman hoping that he's going to be responsible for just the 3 runs. Nice take there by Hayes on the Francis curve. Orioles saw their 3-game winning streak snapped yesterday. A chance to win 3 out of 4 against the Blue Jays. Orioles, the loss that they suffered last night was the first time they had lost a game at Rogers Center all year. It's 2-2 now. They've wrapped up 2 season series so far and are almost there with the Tampa Bay Rays. Still a bunch of games for the Orioles left against the Boston Red Sox. Two. Hayes to right field. Springer going back, and he will get it. Makes the catch as the inning comes to a close, but the Orioles get one more, and their lead is 3-0 halfway home.
How competitive he is. Now, he's very close with his mother, Eileen, and at one point, a young, not yet professional Jack actually told her he wanted to quit. He was done with baseball, and she said, "That's fine. I'm happy to not have to drive you to all these practices, to do all these other things, but you've got to tell the kids you're mentoring that it's okay to quit things. It's okay to quit. You can quit whenever you want." And he couldn't bring himself to do it. So, of course, he stuck around in baseball. Now, fast forward to just a week ago, sitting in the dugout in the bottom of the 5th. He knew he was about to come out for the 6th inning, and he knew with his pitch count it would be his last in a Cardinals uniform. He was the last remaining on the roster whose contract expired at the end of the year. So when he went back out for that inning, he said it's the first time in his life he just couldn't clear his head. He knew what was going on. He's been looking for redemption today, guys, and so far it's been looking really good.
Yeah, it's been better than good. Think about it. The first batter he faced, Whit Merrifield, gave him a base hit. Next batter walked. He's not given up anything since then. That's how good he's been. He's at 12 in a row, 6 of those 12 by strikeout.
And the command, which was a problem for him maybe at the beginning of the year, you know, he's just picking up where he left off in the month of July when he was consistently going 6 innings, not allowing that many runs. Check swing, they appeal, and Kirk held.
Yeah, a lot of those walks came in the month of April. He walked 7 in his first start, 6 in his second start. So 13 walks his first 2 starts, 23 walks just in the month of April.
Another strikeout. Goes to the curveball there. Another breaking ball strikeout. 7 for Flaherty in the game. 7
strikeouts, 6 by the breaking ball. You can't throw one any better than this. I'm going to tell you, in the zone, and it just disappears down and away from Alejandro Kirk.
One out now. It's going to send Dalton Varsho to the plate. Grounded back to the pitcher. His first time he's going to try a bunt. Mountcastle is on it. Goes for the tag, and they got him. He was out of the base paths anyways. So you take a shot when your offense can't get anything going. Well done by Mountcastle.
Yeah, Mountcastle, really good athlete. Drafted as a shortstop, played a little third in the minor leagues, a little outfield, and finally found a home over here at first base.
Flaherty's getting outs, but the other part of this too, Ben, is he's getting a lot of quick outs.
Oh, he's been efficient. Had the 1 walk to second batter of the game, and he has been filled up since then.
And is slicing. McKenna on the case. He makes it there. 15 in a row set down by Jack Flaherty in his Orioles debut. O's lead the Blue Jays after 5. Bank, helping to make a difference. Beautiful day in Toronto. And the Orioles and the Blue Jays wrapping up this 4-game series. Jeff Arnold, Ben McDonald, Melanie Newman with you. And what it would mean if the Orioles can win 3 out of 4 against Toronto, coming to Rogers Center twice in a year and winning 2 series. That's not easy to do.
No, and the Orioles have making a statement against the AL East. I mean, don't forget, it wasn't too long ago that you went into Tampa, one of the toughest places to play, and won 3 or 4. And a good chance to win 3 out of 4 in this one as well. Feels like it's more than 3-0 because the Orioles have had a lot of opportunities.
Chapman step into the outfield grass. He'll throw out Arias. Join us for Early Bird Saturdays. Gates open 2 hours before first pitch. Enjoy happy hour with $5 domestic beer and $2.50 off pretzels and popcorn in Legends Park and various locations throughout the lower level. Plus, this Saturday's featured band is Uncle Jesse. Visit Orioles.com/earlybird for tickets. My question is, does Uncle Jesse ever play Jesse's Girl? It's kind of like one of those songs that feels like every band has to know.
You would think so.
You would think so. Jesse's Girl.
Is that one of your favorite songs?
Yeah, it's a good one. That and Brown Eyed Girl. Like, if you're a band, you've got to have Brown Eyed Girl probably in your repertoire.
I thought Friends in Low Places was your favorite
that
song.
That actually is my favorite karaoke song. Right field for Springer. It's carrying, and it'll be caught on the warning track. Two outs now. And here's Adley Rutschman. Francis came on in the last inning for Kevin Gausman. 3 runs on 8 hits in 4 1/3 innings. And that's going to do it. Well, Bowden Francis at the top of the order getting ready to bat is going to come out. And Toronto will make a pitching change. 2 outs here in the 6th inning. It is Yenesis Cabrera who's going to come in for the Blue Jays. Time anywhere on the MASN app. Watch games live and receive expert analysis and player stats all in the palm of your hand. Don't miss a pitch. Download yours today. Bowden Francis, he is done after he got the first 2 outs of the 6th, and he'll be replaced by the lefty Yenesis Cabrera.
Yeah, that's the numbers with St. Louis and Toronto this year, making his 38th appearance, 43 strikeouts and 19 walks. Opponents hitting .247. Orioles saw Cabrera in game 2 of the series and actually roughed him up. 1 inning of work, got 3 hits and 3 runs on him. It's a good fastball, though. Fastball between the 2 and the 4-seam fastball. It'll average about 96. Slider and a curveball as well.
I'll flip Rutschman around. Drove in one of the Orioles' 2 runs in the 2nd inning. Delivers strike 1. 2 runs for the Orioles in the 2nd, 1 in the 5th. 9 hits for the Orioles, only 1 for Toronto. 1 hit in this game. They only had 3 yesterday despite scoring 4 runs.
Yeah, the Blue Jays scored 3 runs yesterday in the 6th without a base hit. All with 2 out.
Cabrera gets the call, and it was a low strike, and I think Adley Rutschman talking to Jim Wolf asking, does it go any lower than that?
Either that or, hey, Jim, that was not a strike.
Come on, Jim, you're better than that.
Well, it's been consistent, though. I mean, that's not the first ball below. Jim Wolf has had a low zone today. And what it does, it forces you to attack balls like that, right? When you know the umpire's giving balls just below the zone, you have to attack them, especially with 2 strikes. And you felt like that zone would have benefited Kevin Gausman today because that's what he likes to do, low fastballs and splitters behind him. But the Orioles had some outstanding at-bats and drove his pitch count up.
2-2. And for Kevin Gausman, roughly his shortest start in 2 months. And in back-to-back years, the Orioles give Gausman trouble in one of his outings. Rutschman shortens up his swing to stay alive. Two and two with Henderson on deck. Rutschman rips it out to left field. Varsho headed to the line. And Adley Rutschman, another multi-hit game. So for Adley, that is 3 straight multi-hit games after he didn't have a hit in the first game of the series.
And he has covered everything, too. This is that breaking ball kind of working down and in right where he likes it. It powers it well over 100 miles an hour. So Mounting has had an unbelievable series, but Rutschman not far behind. And this offense, I know it was rough last night, but this offense is starting to take shape. 13 runs, 16 hits 2 games ago. It's the biggest output offensively the Orioles have had in the second half of the season.
And I think it's what you're hoping to see, especially at a time of the year where your starters are seeing their innings build up, some in spots where they really haven't ever been before, where your bullpen has worked a lot, where you've leaned a lot on guys like Felix Bautista and Yennier Cano. So anytime that offense can come through, get you some more runs, and keep you out of the 1-run games, you'll take it. Rutschman is retired as Henderson bounces out. Orioles lead is 3-0, middle of the 6th. Orioles get great starting pitching. Began with Kyle Gibson setting the tone. 6 innings of 1-run baseball, 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. Kyle Bradish, he gave up a couple of home runs early in his start on Tuesday night and was basically unhittable from the 4th inning on as he went 7 innings. Then Grayson Rodriguez, 3 earned runs, but a couple of those runs scored after he left the ball game as he goes 5 2/3. Has another great start against the American League East. There you see the CN Tower. So stone's throw away here from Rogers Center, and now Jack Flaherty, what he's done in his Orioles debut. He's on for the 6th, 15 in a row set down, and he jumps ahead of Kevin Kiermaier.
Well, he's picked up right where Gibson, Bradish, and Rodriguez left off in this series. We touched on it in the open. I mean, the month of July was by far the best month for Orioles starters. That has carried over into the month of August.
1 ball and 1 strike. Ball 2. Only 1 walk, only 1 hit allowed.
And both of them happened the first 2 batters of the game. Oh, that's been the pitch. The breaking balls have been just outstanding.
It's the breaking ball again, and Kiermaier won't chase the curve.
It's been a good mix between the cutter, the slider, and the curveball. And he's used all of them.
Out to right field. O'Hearn comes over to play it. Kiermaier falls down as he heads towards second base. But for the Blue Jays, the first hit that they have gotten since Whit Merrifield started off the first inning with a base hit.
3-2 slider, and Kiermaier on time for that one. And this ball didn't have quite the action that most of the sliders. Well, Kiermaier's thinking about taking second right here.
Jumps ahead again, 0-1. We've seen out of Jack Flaherty in this game. He's got a plan, and he really knows how to pitch.
And what I've been watching for, I didn't know the communication lines between him and Rutschman. I thought there'd be a few more shake-offs, but I haven't seen many at all. Like, Rutschman and Flaherty have been on the same page since pitch number 1.
And that, you imagine, has to be something that made coming to the Orioles more attractive with the job that Rutschman does behind the plate and having a great veteran in James McCann, who's a terrific pitch caller too. Merrifield fights that one off. Still 0-2. Thomas Hatch warming up in the Blue Jays bullpen. He would be the third Blue Jays reliever to come on.
Well, he's got him set up. He's done a really good job. Fastballs on the outside part and backing up sliders right behind him. He's had success doing it.
Not even yet to 70 pitches in the start. Guy who was an excellent athlete position player coming up out of high school, and then eventually later on in his high school career became a fabulous pitcher. And he actually learned from Ethan Katz, the guy who is the pitching coach for the Chicago White Sox now. Ground ball to third base. Backhanded snare by Urias to second in time. Great play on both ends.
Well, we talk about the internal clock and knowing how much time you have. And Ramon Urias, I'm telling you, Kiermaier doesn't think he's out. But this is just an outstanding play by Ramon Urias. Backhand side. Toronto's going to challenge it, but watch how quick. He knows he's got one place to go. That's the second base. And I love how Frazier, see how Frazier's playing second base like a first baseman. He knows there's no chance for a double play. He's going to get his foot on the bag and he's going to reach out. That view to me looked like he might have been safe.
Frazier did keep a foot on the bag, it looks like.
Now, I'm nitpicking a little bit on Frazier here, but you see where his foot is? His foot's on the top of the bag versus being on the front side of the bag towards third base. I don't know that that would have made a difference or not, and maybe he didn't have quite enough time to get it there. Look where Frazier's right foot is here. See it on top?
After review, the call is overturned. The runner is safe.
I give a lot of credit to Urias on that pickup. And they almost got him, but Kiermaier's head-first dive got that hand there right before Frazier could catch the ball.
Kiermaier's got good speed, and we've seen it over the years. He just beat that one. And Ramon did all he could do. Frazier did the same thing. But a good start here in the bottom of the sixth for the Blue Jays. First and second, and nobody out.
Got Brandon Belt at the plate. And he'll take one high. Bell had 2 of the 3 Blue Jays hits last night. He's been retired 1 out of 2 times by Flaherty. 1 ball and 1 strike. Blue Jays have been abysmal in this series with runners in scoring position. First trouble that Flaherty has been in since the first. Right field, coming on his own. Hearn, he's got it. Here's your first out of the inning. The MLB TV trade deadline sale lets you follow your favorite players wherever they go for only $34.99. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Sale ends August 6th. Visit MLB.tv for details. 1 out now. It's going to send Vladimir Guerrero Jr. up to the plate against Jack Flaherty. Big swing and a miss there by Guerrero. And for Flaherty, he's had a lot of success in limited action against the American League East. This is his 3rd start against the AL East. If you take before and today, he's worked 15 1/3 scoreless innings against teams from the AL East, twice against Toronto, and he's faced the Yankees once, and he's jumped ahead of Guerrero 0-2.
Well, he navigated out of a first and second no-out situation in the first. Trying to do the same thing here in the sixth. He got Vladimir Guerrero on this exact same sequence as last time up. Fastballs away and a swing and miss slider right off the plate.
The elevated fastball this time.
The Orioles have stayed away from Vladimir Guerrero the entire series. There's been a lot of stuff on the outside part of the plate. A lot of off-speed pitches to the outside part of the plate. Haven't really challenged him at all on the inside. Boy, if he could throw that same exact slider he did at last at bat, he may get that big strikeout he's looking for.
He lays off that pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Is pulled foul. That one stayed in. Guerrero got around on it.
Yeah, not where he wanted that breaking ball. Because Rutschman kind of rocked to the outside part. This ball left well up and in. See how Rutschman had to reach back for that one? That's where you don't want to miss to Guerrero.
He's known for punishing mistakes. This year, we heard coming into the series, the league has been a lot better adjusting to Guerrero, who has not always been good at adjusting back. Another 1-2 from Flaherty. Right field, tight to the line. That'll get down. Here comes Kiermaier around third. He scores. RBI single for Guerrero, and the Blue Jays are on the board.
Yeah, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just takes a fastball right on the inside part. It wasn't hit hard, but he shoved it in the right place. Short right field. Kiermaier scores. Merrifield goes first to third. Really a pretty good pitch, but it's elevated just enough where Guerrero gets some air underneath it.
Now Vladimir Guerrero Jr. comes through against Jack Flaherty. 2 of the 3 hits against Flaherty have come in this inning. Mike Baumann now beginning to throw in the Orioles bullpen. And yesterday, the Orioles, they use Fuji and Cole Irvin. And so as you come into this game, you should be fully locked and loaded. Coulomb, Cano, Bautista, you should be set in a close game to use your key leverage guys to finish something out.
The moment is right now, though. Can Flaherty figure out a way to get off the field here with a 3-1 lead? Tying run at first.
And Springer takes for ball 1. Not normally a hitter you want to see for George Springer. It's been a lot of struggles recently.
He's been hitting a lot of ground balls. The Orioles would love one right here.
And that is low. 2 balls and no strikes. Worth noting, Jack Flaherty, 16 ground ball double plays.
Orioles got some double barrel action now in the bullpen. Danny Coulomb has gotten up with Mike Baumann.
3 balls, no strikes on Springer. Well, there's Coulomb, there's Baumann.
Called a strike.
Boy, Flaherty still holding his velo now. 82 pitches in, still 96.
Three and one. And that is ball four. Well, Flaherty misses. The bases are loaded. And Matt Chapman is going to come up.
Got a decision right now for Brandon Hyde.
So many fast innings in there today. It's an 8-pitch third, 8-pitch fourth. Very few pitches in the fifth. And the first we've seen Flaherty work. Loaded up for Chapman, who looks at strike one.
Boy, if I'm on the mound right now, I'm looking at the dugout, and nobody's coming out. That gives me confidence to know Skipper trusts me right now. Trust me in the biggest moment of the ball game to make a pitch.
Close, didn't miss by much. 96 miles an hour. Saw him at 97 in the first inning.
Yeah, the velocity's been a little bit more than what we thought we were going to get.
One and one the count. Reminder of the 16 double plays, which are tied for fourth most in baseball from Flaherty. And it's taken to the dirt. Rutschman blocks it. Jimmy Garcia, meantime, warms up in the Blue Jays bullpen. A game that Toronto feels like it has to have. Got him out front. Well, he executed a good slider there, makes it 2-2.
Yeah. He's going to what's been his best pitch today, and it's been that slider for me.
Two and two with one out. The base is loaded. And Chapman strikes out. Well done by Jack Flaherty. There's out number two.
Come on now, Flash. Boy, and that's two different breaking balls, same place. One of them 84 miles an hour. That's the slider. Then he takes a little bit off with a little bit different shape, and it's 80 miles an hour, perfectly placed on the outside part for a huge strikeout and a huge second out here with the bases loaded.
Brandon Hyde's not doing anything. He's going to see if Flaherty can get out of this jam. 3-1 Orioles, bases loaded, 2 outs. Man, that command is pinpoint right now, that pitch.
Well, it wavered a little bit. The few batters before that, he pitched behind the count a little bit, but all of a sudden it's like he's found it again.
One ball and one strike against Kirk.
Let's take a look at Flaherty's pitch usage. See the four-seam fastball about 42% of the time. Slider 21, knuckle curve 19. Cutter 13.5%. See, that's a pitch that's up about 4% from what he typically does.
Fastball's been up a tick today.
Yeah, and I love the way he's carried it throughout the game as he approaches 100 pitches here.
And between his slider, curve, and cutter, he's gotten 16 swings and misses. He's a really good number. 1 and 2, 2 outs. Can he get Kirk? Left center field. It's hit well. Hayes gets there, makes the catch, and Jack Flaherty in his Orioles debut turns in 6 innings of 1-run baseball as the Orioles lead.
helping to make a difference. We talked about it. 3 pitchers acquired at the trade deadline were making their debuts today. Alongside Jack Flaherty, Max Scherzer for the Texas Rangers gets his first win, 5-3 over the White Sox. That game has gone final. Meanwhile, not good news for the Mets. Dropped by the Royals 9-2. Yankees will play later this evening, but guys, you look ahead already while the Orioles in the middle of a battle here. You got to get excited about this weekend. But a reminder, after all is said and done here in Toronto, you can join us afterwards for O's Extra Postgame, brought to you by PNC.
And I bet, Mel, you're going to be talking about Jack Flaherty. 6 innings of 1-run baseball in his Orioles debut. And he got himself into some trouble in that 6th, Ben. Gave up that leadoff hit. Maybe lost command of that breaking ball a little bit, but suddenly got it back and found his way out of the inning.
2 big-time innings. The first inning, first and second, nobody out. Navigated out of that one. And then don't forget, 1 run in, bases loaded, only 1 out. Boy, he's able to get a big strike out of Chapman and then a fly ball. And what I love about this is Brandon Hyde sat back in the dugout and he said, I trust you. You've been in a lot of big games. You've been in a lot of big moments. This is your game. I'm going to leave you out there and let you work out of it. And he did it.
One I think might have gone right into the turf. Yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad.
I know it's 60 feet 6 inches, but I just spiked 152. My bad.
Sometimes you just try and make it a little too good.
That's what we call a big miss.
And there's a swing and a miss for strike 3. 96 over the inside corner.
Yeah, it's a big arm. Cabrera doesn't always know where it's going, but when he gets it over the white part of the plate, it's pretty good stuff. And he's always had this, a big arm from the left side. 96 right by Santander.
Here's Ryan O'Hearn going left on left.
Something we didn't see from O'Hearn when he first got called up. He didn't face many left-handers, but because of the success he has had recently off left-handers, he's getting an opportunity.
Last 2 home runs have both been against lefties, good lefties, and Colin Poche and Matt Strom. One and 2. Cabrera coming up and in with that hard fastball. Castle's on deck. O'Hearn evens the count 2-2.
Boy, and all of these games have been really good games up to about this point. 4-2 ball game in game 1. It was a 4-3 ball game in game 2, and the Orioles scored 10 runs in the final 4 innings of that ball game to open it wide open. 1-1 game last night in the 6th. Here we are in a 3-1 game in the 7th.
And the Orioles 33-17 in games decided by 2 runs or less. That's the best mark in the major leagues, and are tied for the 2nd best mark in 1-run games in the big leagues. O'Hearn fights another one off into the seats while the fans are doing the wave. Strike 3. Might have been low, but Cabrera gets the call.
Well, that's been the zone pretty much all day long, just below the bottom. Home plate umpire Jim Wolf has given his call pretty much all day long.
And John Schneider going to make a pitching change. Thomas Hatch is going to come on and face Ryan Mountcastle. 2 out, 7th inning. Orioles lead is 2. It's all about the opposite field hit for Ryan Mountcastle. A lot of hits in this series against the Toronto Blue Jays, and he has been peppering right field.
Yeah, he continues to use the backside of the field. That was a fastball for a single. Then he stays on the splitter this time as it ran inside, shoves it in between the hole between first and second. Mounting 2 for 2 day, including a sac fly and an RBI. And boy, what a series it has been for Mountcastle. 9 for 12 in this series.
And coming up with 2 outs and the base is clear and facing Thomas Hatch.
Yeah, Hatch making his 6th appearance of the year. 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio with a very good ERA. Opponent's hitting .278 off the right-hander, Hatch.
0-1 against Ryan Mountcastle. Danny Coulomb still throwing in the Orioles bullpen. They had double barrel action going just a little while ago, but that was just Coulomb getting ready on his own. A couple of lefties scheduled to bat for Toronto. Thomas Hatch at one point was a prospect in the Chicago Cubs system. Traded to the Blue Jays in 2019 for David Phelps. Mountcastle pull this one through the left side. Make it a 3-hit day for Ryan Mountcastle. Reached 4 times yesterday. He's on base 3 times today with 3 singles.
I just don't remember anybody having this kind of series. 10 hits in 13 at-bats for Ryan Mountcastle. We talked about it early. We talked about it yesterday. He is just simply covering everything. If it's an off-speed pitch, for the most part, he hits it in the hole and pulls it. Fastballs, he's been serving the other way.
Now here's Frazier. Again, we're going to be the complaint department here. You just said that Mountcastle's coming up and there's nobody on base.
Goodness. Frazier's had himself a pretty good day too. 2 for 3 day for him.
Takes high from Hatch, ball 2.
Orioles now with 11 base hits.
Last time they scored was the 5th. When Mountcastle had the sac fly. Orioles got 2 in a very long 2nd inning from Kevin Gausman in the 2nd. There's a strike. Two balls and 2 strikes on Adam Frazier. Austin Hayes, he would be next. Hatch puts him away. Now Frazier is strikeout victim. Mountcastle, a 2-out hit, doesn't lead to anything. Bottom of the 7th, Orioles lead the Blue Jays.
It's time for your Land Rover Defense of the Game, presented by Defender, and it was Jack Flaherty. Flash is what we're going to call him. He didn't need a defense a whole lot today. He was his own defense, and boy, he had that slider ripping today. Showed a fastball up to 97, which we weren't expecting, but that pitch right there, the 2 breaking balls, the slider and the curveball, were the difference maker for him. He would retire 15 in a row at one point. Goes 6 innings, 3 hits, his 8th quality start of the year. 1 run, 2 walks, and 8 punch-outs. And now it's time for your Jiffy Lube pitching change. You know Jiffy Lube for quick, convenient oil changes. Now we do services for brakes, batteries, and tires, oil changes, and more. Now that's a job for Jiffy.
Espinal in a jiffy hits it into left field, but Hayes is there on the warning track. And Danny Coulomb, the one who takes over for Flaherty.
Yeah, Danny Coulomb making his 46th appearance of the year. He has been really good. 2.9 ERA. His strikeout to walk ratio outstanding. That's why Brendan Hyde loves him. 46 punch outs, 9 walks. Opponents hitting 227 off the left-hander, Coulomb.
The other night had some problems with his command. Colton Cowser out in right field taking over for O'Hearn. But in spite of the problems that he had with his command, Danny Coulombe still found a way out of it, as he so often has this year. DeYoung no hits yet with Toronto. He's 0 for 5. First 2 games with the Blue Jays. Check swing. He went, says Jeremy Riggs.
Let's see. Did he go? Oh, yes.
Hee-haw. And there's a swing and a miss. Nice power breaking ball there from Danny Coulombe.
Well, Danny's got all the breaking balls. Good curve ball. Show you a slider. That's that 12-6 breaking ball there. And you talk about depth. That thing starts about belt high. And right off the dirt for strike 3.
That thing looked like it fell from the penthouse all the way down to the ground floor. Jumps down to Kiermaier, 0-1. Kiermaier has scored the lone run. There's Yennier Cano.
If Danny can get out of this inning, it sets up perfectly the back end of that Orioles bullpen. Cano and Bautista at the end. This is kind of how you draw it up. Garcia still playing catch. That Blue Jays bullpen.
Off the corner, they ask, and another check swing strike for Coulombe. Two balls and 2 strikes. Orioles would improve to 8-10 against the Blue Jays if they can hold on. Strike 3. Kiermaier. They get him. Back-to-back strikeouts for Danny Coulombe. For the DraftKings do-ups, we'll look at the live home run odds for the next 3 hitters when we come back. DraftKings Sportsbook makes it easy to bet. Download the app and get your bets in now. Here are the DraftKings home run odds for the next 3 hitters. Austin Hayes plus 1,700. Ramon Urias plus 2,500. Ryan McKenna plus 3,000. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Use promo code DIAMOND when you sign up. Austin Hayes still facing Thomas Hatch. Came in and allowed a hit, and then got Adam Frazier to strike out. Hits Hayes. It's 1-1. Jeff Arnold, Ben McDonald, Melanie Newman with you. Final day that the Orioles are on the road. New York Mets come into town tomorrow. A win for the Orioles, it would get them back to 25 games over the 500 mark. And that would equal their season high, which they set the other night. Dropped yesterday after the Orioles won the first 2. But today, behind a long second inning for Kevin Gausman, the Orioles scored a couple of runs and a great first start from Jack Flaherty in an Orioles uniform. The Orioles have got this 3-1 lead. Inside, 2-2 against Hayes. That is hit up the middle. Flagged down by DeYoung. Spins, but the throw is offline. And Hayes will have an infield single.
Boy, Austin Hayes has been needing a day like this. 3 for 4 days, 3 singles with an RBI. And he'll take this infield hit. DeYoung does all he can do, but really no chance for him. Hayes just runs too well.
They'll get up Ramon Arias. 2 walks for him in the game today. 1 ball and no strikes. Now, earlier this year, Ramon Arias got to play against his brother Luis, who was then with the Milwaukee Brewers. But of games between both Urias brothers about to become a little bit more common, as Luis Urias was traded to the Boston Red Sox at the deadline. And make it 2 Urias brothers inside the AL East. 2-0 the count. Mel?
Yeah, Ramon is a little hopeful. Luis was immediately optioned to AAA for Boston, which was a little surprising to some people, but he said, I really hope he gets back up here. He actually found out when I tweeted, Ramon Arias' brother just joined the AL East, which was not my intention, but he had a little sheepish grin all the same. A reminder, these boys grew up in the sport by throwing at each other's heads as hard as they could at their parents' home, which broke a few windows, but it's good competition.
We're lucky that's all it broke.
Yeah, I know. 3-0. And that is taken high for ball 4. Also, I'm not sure if Ramon has gotten, there was a wager between the 2 brothers in the last series in Milwaukee, where I think it was whoever had more hits, the other one had to buy him a dinner or something, and Ramon won that. So I'm not sure if that wager has been cashed in yet.
How about 2 kids growing up playing in the backyard that would one day together play against each other in the big leagues? I mean, that's an amazing
crazy
story.
Now the Orioles have built 2 base runners here against Hatch. With a Hayes single and Urias walking for the 3rd time in this game. Pete Walker, quick word with Hatch.
Orioles looking to play a little add on here. 1st and 2nd and nobody out. McKenna's punched out twice, flew out to right field. I would not be shocked. Brandon Hyde known for looking for a little bit of insurance late in ball games. McKenna doesn't put a bunt down here. Blue Jays are expecting. You see Guerrero, he's starting to creep in. Chapman over at 3rd. He's on a read.
And he shows, and he gets the bunt down. Chapman throws wild. It's down the line. They're going to get 1. 4-1 as Matt Chapman airmailed that throw down the right field line. Orioles lead is now 3. And on top of that, Urias gets to 3rd.
Yeah, and I don't know if there was a miscommunication here. You're going to watch Chapman pick the ball up. He looks to 3rd base like he thought the shortstop, DeYoung, was covering 3rd base. He wants to get the lead out at 3rd. But it was just enough time to where Chapman got his feet twisted up a little bit. So watch him pick the ball up. He's going to look at 3rd, but there's nobody there. And so then he tries to redirect over at 1st base and makes a bad throw. And I don't know if Chapman wasn't on the same page or if it was DeYoung that was supposed to cover the bag at 3rd. It just never got there.
And now the Blue Jays will bring the infield in. So it's a sacrifice and much more. Ball 1 taken by Rutschman. One ball and 1 strike against Adley.
And remember, this is DeYoung, but only his 2nd game to play with the Blue Jays.
Rutschman hits that one as shortstop. DeYoung coming home. They've got Urias in a rundown. Kirk chases him back, and Chapman will tag him out. Urias going on contact. 1st out of the inning. Still 2 men on base for the Orioles.
Yeah, and the reason you go on contact there is to try to stay out of the double play. You force the fielders to take the ball and bring it home. The Blue Jays can't afford to get up another one. They're still first and second and just one out.
Here's Henderson. One hit today, 1 run scored. Three-hit game for him. Drove in 4 runs in the second game of this series. Henderson will take a look at strike 1. Ball and 1 strike. There, Baumann, he's going to join Cano. 3-run Orioles lead. They've scored 3 different innings today. Only 1 run for the Blue Jays, which came in the 6th. And they've been limited to just 4 hits by Orioles pitching. And is hit sharply to second. Espinal throws to DeYoung and on to first for the double play. 4-6-3 double play, but off the air in the sac bunt. The Orioles get another run. They lead 4-1.
Retransmitted in any form. And the account and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Baltimore Orioles. How'd I do?
You did great. Disseminated.
It took me 2 years to learn how to say that word. That's why every time you give that to me, I want to read it.
Well, you got it twice. 2 for 2. Orioles 4, Blue Jays 1, and Yennier Cano in the game.
It is Yennier Cano making his 48th appearance of the year. ERA 1.93 on the year. Another strike thrower. 46 strikeouts, only 9 walks. Opponents hitting .235 off the right-hander Cano.
He's going to face the top part of the Toronto order. Cano gave up a home run, 2 walks in just a third of an inning the last time that he was out there. So he's looking for a bounce back outing in a way today. Well, he'll start off with Merrifield. And Cano misses low with his first pitch.
And Danny Coulombe was outstanding. 1 shutout inning for him. No runs, hits, or walks. Punched out 2.
Off the glove of Rutschman, 1-1. Down the left field line, but it hooks foul.
That looked like a changeup, 91. And here Cano, hard sinking fastball. Anywhere from 95 to 98 with some good sink to it. Good changeup, an occasional slider.
And now the occasional 4-seam fastball too. And there's the slider and the straddle and the stare.
This is old Frisbee right here now. And he's starting to throw a few more sliders too. Got ahead with the fastball, went to the changeup, and finishes with this pitch here. That sweeping slider just kind of sweeps it right off the outside part. You know when Cano gets you, he's going to have a little pose for you.
Didn't always used to do that. That's what Danny Coulombe remembers. As there's a hot shot caught by Mountcastle. Hit on the screws, but right at the Orioles' first baseman.
Brandon Belt's had a nice series for the Blue Jays. And this is a rocket, but right to Mountie. Looks like Mountcastle didn't see that ball that well, did he? Sometimes when it's that low and it's a line drive like it is, ball gets caught in the crowd, white shirts.
2 outs now for Guerrero. Drove in the Blue Jays' lone run of the 6th. Tap foul up the line. And Danny Coulomb saying recently that as we go back to Cano doing the straddle and the stare down, he didn't always used to do that when he was in the Twins minor league system, but it's something that Cano has picked up as he's gained more confidence and a little bit more swagger up in the major leagues. That's filthy.
A little sinking fastball on the outside part, backs it up with a changeup. He's got Guerrero down 0-2 quickly.
Defensive swing. Guerrero just made contact.
And that's kind of what's different about Guerrero right there. There was a time 2 years ago when he put together that monster season that he just didn't chase many balls. And he has expanded the zone this year.
One and two. Off the corner.
That monster season I was talking about in 21. Guerrero hit .311, 48 homers, and 111 RBIs.
He got himself in a really good shape 2 years ago. Lost about 40 or so pounds. Bouncer to shortstop. Henderson backs up. Guerrero is thrown out, and so Cano follows up Coulomb's clean inning with one of his own. 8 straight Blue Jays set down. 4-1 lead as Cano and Coulomb have each put scoreless innings together following a stellar first start by Jack Flaherty with the Orioles. 6 innings of 1-run baseball, and it did not take either Cano or Coulomb long to get through their respective innings. Orioles meantime added a run in the last inning after a sac bunt and an error by Matt Chapman. It might have been a miscommunication. Not for the Orioles to get another run. And Santander batting first in this inning against Thomas Hatch. He's back on for his 2nd full inning of relief. Two strikes to count. 0 for 4 day for Santander. And that'll be skipped in the dirt. Two count. Mike Baumann is throwing alongside of Felix Bautista. Orioles headed home. Blue Jays are headed on the road. They're going to be facing the Boston Red Sox after this. Toronto in the midst of 17 games in 17 days.
Yeah, and they're in that 6-man rotation, and then after that part, when they start getting a few off days, they're going to decide it apparently on their best 5 starters.
Decisions to be made for the Blue Jays, who right now are in the 3rd wild card spot as Santander hooks and foul. Came in today leading Boston by 2.5 games. Blue Jays high expectations coming into this year. They've been good against pretty much everybody except teams in the American League East.
Not in the AL East, that's right.
Santander, did he tip that ball? Yes, he did. He got a piece of it.
Or did he?
Or did he? I guess not.
No, he missed that one.
Now this is Colton Cowser. Came on as a defensive replacement for Ryan O'Hearn. First time that Cowser has hit. him some additional time in the cage. Chance to work on some things offensively. Just 0-98. The thing is, slow starts for Orioles rookies, it's normal. I mean, when Adley Rutschman came up to the big leagues, he had his slow start. Gunnar Henderson this year got off to a slow beginning in the month of April, started to turn the corner a little bit in May, and then hit another gear by May 30th. Jordan Westburg has experienced his problems. Colton Cowser now kind of going through his too. And it's a balancing act for Brandon Hyde, because you want to get these guys in and you know how good they are, but you're also trying to hold on to the top spot in the AL East.
It's just a matter of time for Colton Cowser. He has hit at every level he's ever played at. He's going to hit here in the big leagues too.
Said earlier today that this is his first time coming to Canada. Fouls this one off. Debuted against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Was walking earlier, but hasn't been drawing as many walks recently. Cowser strokes this one to the gap, and Kiermaier's not going to get to this. It hits up against the fence, and Colton Cowser's going to have himself a double with one out in the ninth.
There you go, kid. Well, first trip to Canada is a good one. 106 off the bat for a double, one out double. Boy, this is a pretty swing here, isn't it? Boy, he just goes down and sticks his nose on this one and powers it out to right center field.
And ends an 0 for 12 for Cowser. So here you go, Ryan Mountcastle up. He will have a man on base this time. And the Blue Jays pitching staff is saying, just please leave already. 1 ball and no strikes. Haven't you done enough already?
I mean, with first base open, I'm kind of surprised they're really pitching to him. And maybe it's going to be one of those, I'll pitch to you, but we're going to pitch around you, not throw you a strike.
They'll stroke this one to right as they pitch to him. Cowser is held up.
They just hadn't figured it out yet.
Ryan Mountcastle loves Canada, loves the Blue Jays, and it's been another series where he has been an absolute terror against the Toronto Blue Jays.
How about a 4 for 4 day with a sac fly? Is that a pretty good day? Boy, since coming off the IL, he has been a hitting machine. And guess what? Another base hit where? To the backside of the field.
4-hit day, 3 singles, a run driven in, and a run scored. So now here's Frazier, 2 hits and a run scored himself, and he'll take in the dirt from Hatch. Cowser at third after he doubled. And there's Mountcastle over at first base. 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, one more run here. Probably going to see Bauman in the ninth versus Bautista.
Left field. Merrifield will make the catch plenty deep enough to get Cowser in, and Mountcastle's going to move up to second base. So the Orioles get an add-on run here in the 9th inning, courtesy of the sac fly, to extend that lead to 4.
Boy, the Orioles have done all the little things right today. 2 sac flies on a day, a sacrifice bunt.
I think about this series too, Ben, is that the base running has been really good. Finding ways to take the extra base plus the defense It's gone a long way. 4-run lead, chance to win 3 out of 4 here in Toronto. Austin Hayes batting with 2 outs, now up 1-0. Two balls and no strikes. Two 2-0 the count. Hayes pulls it. Is it fair? Oh, yes, it is. It's down the line. Mountcastle trots on home in the second with another double in this inning. It is Austin Hayes make the lead for the Orioles 5 as the sprinklers go flying in Toronto.
About a 4-hit day for Mountcastle, a 4-hit day for Austin Hayes. A couple of RBIs. Orioles now up 6-1. Boy, that's a beautiful thing right there. Just sitting on a fastball and laces it down the line. Mountie trots home with the 6th run of the day for the Orioles. Orioles 16 hits in game 2 of this series, 15 today.
Called a strike into Arias. And the Orioles offense starting to show some signs of life after you come out of the All-Star break. You're not scoring quite as many runs, but 6 runs today after those 13 2 days ago. You had 4 runs in the first game. And then on top of that, you know, with all these runs that the Orioles are scoring, it kind of just reinforces part of the Blue Jays' problem against the Orioles this year is that the Orioles hit well, and that Toronto hasn't been able to keep up all season.
That's right. You know, and the pitching went to a different level, especially the starters in the month of July. Even when that offense was scuffling a little bit, because you were really pitching, you were still winning ball games.
DeYoung throws out Arias, but 2 more for the Orioles in the 9th inning. They lead it 6-1. Ryan Mountcastle continues his tear against the Blue Jays. Baumann coming in.
Away from winning 3 of 4 in Toronto. Up to Mike Baumann to collect the final 3 outs of this one. Baumann on the year making his 48th appearance. How about that record out of the bullpen? 8-0, 3.48 ERA. Better than a strikeout per inning. Opponent's hitting .209 off the big right-hander, Baumann.
He takes over for Cano and Coulombe. The Blue Jays, not much going offensively for them today. Toronto, they have been held to 4 hits. Orioles with 15 hits in this game. Jack Flaherty, 6 innings of 1-run baseball in his Orioles debut. And Orioles fans, no matter if they're in Orioles shirts or Birdland Hawaiian shirts or they're wearing home run chains, they're enjoying what has been a nice 4-day showcase here in Toronto. Mike Baumann will look at Springer, Chapman, and Kirk here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Win gets the Orioles back to 25 over the 500 mark. It gives the Orioles a 2nd series win here in Toronto and the 3rd series win against the Blue Jays in as many series this year. Cowser, he's going to run out of room. In contrast, the Blue Jays, they would go back to 60-50 on the season. Two strikes the count. Orioles pitching has retired the last 8 Blue Jays hitters. Springer's going to request time. As you see, the native of Minnesota, Mike Baumann. Hit on the ground to 3rd. Good hop for Arias. Throws low, but Mountcastle there to pick it. 1 out. One out now for Chapman. Outside corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. Orioles, they have 1 series left against the Blue Jays. That's going to go from August 22nd through 24th at Camden Yards. And that will also mark the next series the Orioles will play against a team from the AL East. Big break coming up from games inside the division. Mets, Astros, and then the Orioles a long West Coast road trip where they go to Seattle, San Diego, and Oakland before Toronto comes back to town for 3 more and conclude the regular season series. Strike 3 call. Matt Chapman is down on strikes. Mike Baumann freezes him on a curveball.
Boy, Mike Baumann just keeps getting better and better. He has taken a liking to the bullpen. Always been a starter throughout his career, and that's a really nice slider. Just dots an eye perfectly on the outside part, and nothing Chapman can do but turn and walk back to the third base dugout.
Well, 2 outs now as Baumann looks to close it off. 1 ball and no strikes. On the first 2, lost yesterday. But the song remains the same. Toronto Blue Jays have problems winning in the American League East, while the Orioles, in contrast, have no problems doing it. Won a long series against the Rays. Come here to Toronto, and the Orioles 1 out away from taking 3 of 4 against the Blue Jays. Kirk behind, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Baumann had 1 and 2. As the Orioles able to turn to Mike Baumann here in the 9th inning as opposed to Felix Bautista, who was warming up. The Orioles then got those 2 runs in the 9th inning. So Bautista, who was just voted American League reliever of the month again, didn't have to pitch. Lined up the middle. There's a base hit for Kirk.
Alejandro Kirk had a monster year. Was an all-star last year. He could do this a bunch last year. Hadn't quite been the same this year for the Blue Jays.
And the Blue Jays will deploy a pinch hitter. Well, the young would be next if Kevin Biggio, who's pinch hitting, can reach. And we'll take a look at strike 1. Biggio, the son of the Hall of Famer Craig Biggio. Falls behind 0-2 against Baumann. Two strikes, 2 out. Out to center field, chasing after it is McKenna. He runs it down. Another trip to Toronto and another series win for the Orioles, who also claimed the season series against the Blue Jays. What a first start it was for Jack Flaherty in an Orioles uniform. 6 innings of 1-run baseball. Ryan Mountcastle, he gets 4 hits today. And the Orioles offense racks up 15 hits and 6 runs.
Yeah, I think this started with Jack Flaherty. He navigated out of first and second, nobody out in the first. He stacked a 0, and boy, he went off, retiring 15 in a row at one point. A quality start for him. Danny Colon was good. Yair Cano looked really good. So did Mike Baumann. You mentioned Mountie, 4 base hits in this game. Austin Hayes also with 4 base hits as well. So Orioles 16 hits 2 games ago, 15 today. And folks, this offense is starting to kick up at the right time.
It certainly is. Mountcastle, he ends up reaching an all but one plate appearance today. That's where he had a sacrifice fly in the 5th inning. And now the Orioles, their last 10 series against the AL East, 8 series wins and 2 splits. Now Ryan Mountcastle, he is sad to be leaving Canada. He's grown to love playing at Rogers Center, and he has another huge series where he was seemingly on base almost every time that he was up. And today Jack Flaherty provided some excitement. You know, a guy that is with his new team, just got here yesterday, working with a new catcher. But then you got Ryan Mountcastle, what he does, and then Austin Hayes, he has a pretty big day too. He ends up collecting a 4-hit game, a run scored, and he drives in a couple of runs.
Yeah, Hayes has been needing a day like this. Offense has been backing up a little bit, but he's been showing signs, and those signs came through today. And he covered some fastballs, he covered some breaking balls as well. That one right back up the middle. A really big day for Austin Hayes. 4 for 5, couple of RBIs for him. So him and Mountie with really big days. Rutgers 2 for 5 with an RBI. This whole team went up and down the lineup.
Yeah, they certainly did. They come up with 15 hits, 4 for Hayes, and he's with Melanie Newman.
Austin, you can't let Ryan have all the fun when you're in Canada. You get a knock in the 6th yesterday. You come out a 4-hit game today. But Gausman's splitter is not necessarily supposed to be an easy pitch to hit. What were you seeing from it today?
He was dotting it down and in on me over and over and over again. So I was just trying to battle it, try to stay inside it, and stay through the middle part of the field, and I was able to find a couple holes today.
We've watched you kind of finding your groove since you went to Seattle, which is an honor, but you also kind of lose a little bit of that break. What have these last couple weeks been like for you?
Yeah, it's ebbs and flows of the season. You know, you can't be hot from start to finish. You're going to have times where balls aren't falling, or you just go through a rough stretch, but you just keep working and stay focused on the right things. Don't get caught up in that, and keep putting together good at-bats.
Jack Flaherty, brand new Oriole. Have you had a chance to really meet him yet? He comes out here today and he absolutely dazzles.
Yeah, we saw everything we needed to see. That was an amazing start by him. I know it's tough to go to a new team and see a lot of fresh faces, but he went out there, he competed his butt off, and did a great job for us.
4-game series, for some reason, it's 1 game, but they seem a lot harder than 3-game series. How big is this for you guys that you just took 3 out of 4 here?
Yeah, it's huge. We knew we had a great chance of winning the series today, and we just had a lot of really good team at-bats. We got a great start, and you know, we were able to walk out of here 3 out of 4.
That's not bad at all. It'll be a happy flight, Austin. Go enjoy.
Thank you.
All right, guys, plenty coming up as we get you ready for O's Extra Postgame. We'll take another look back at the series win for the Orioles in Toronto. Might as well vote of the Prime Ministers of Canada at this point. We'll hear from manager Brandon Hyde and so much more. Don't go anywhere. O's Extra Postgame presented by PNC is coming up next.